Welcome back. So on this segment, we'll be reviewing this year's International Women's Day celebration. The theme is Accelerate Action, and how we celebrated it on Saturday. We started the Pigeon Show celebrating International Women's Day. We touched on what does it mean to be a woman? What does a woman mean to you? And all the ladies came up with fantastic ideas of what it means to be a woman. And we're going to continue the celebration and conversation on everything that's happening in the space right now. We have issues happening in the Senate that has to do with a woman. We have other issues that are happening around us in our homes. And we're still talking about gender bill, having to get enough women to begin to represent us in conversations, in politics, in leadership, and all of that. And I'd like to know where you think we are with women taking the role of leadership in this conversation.
Okay, so I think that you guys discussed it a bit on Friday and on Saturday. I was not around on Friday and Saturday. So I did a video. I think I posted the video yesterday, and I was talking about talking about the idea of why we should be celebrating the International Women's Day, because sometimes people feel like women, we're always celebrating women. And it is Women's Day, it is International Women's Day. We're always trying to portray and push women. I've had to, even over this weekend, over-explain to people, why is your show always supporting women? And it's because we need to remind women. Because for many years, women didn't have a voice. And some women right now still don't know they have a voice. They have options, they have platforms, they can be protected, they can aspire, they can achieve dreams, they can dream big. So you may not know. So when we do International Women's Day and we have conversations around these kind of things, we raise the awareness of women. We raise the awareness of the girl child to aspire to become a senator. When we highlight how it is extremely unfair to have 4 senators among 109, it will raise the conversation of, let's have more women. And some girls will now be like, I want to make this difference. In the next 10 years, I want to be in the House of Assembly. I want to be a senator. So when we have conversations, it is extremely important. And apologies to the men, because the world seemed to have moved to be listening to the women more. So I also wanted to highlight the women who made the sacrifices for the platforms that we have now, because many women actually did. There were times women couldn't drive, women couldn't vote, women had no say in their marriages, their body belonged to their husbands. If the husband felt they should have 15 children, even to the detriment of their health, they would continue having those children. But some women fought and some women battled so that other women could say, I want just 2 kids and I can have just 2 kids. So for me, that is why we celebrate International Women's Day, so that people can remember the heroes of the past and can aspire to greater heights in future as women.
Amazing.
Nice. So yesterday in church, when we were leaving, they asked the men to stand and form what you call that guard of honor is what you call it, where
like
they stand.
A walkway.
Yes, a walkway, and all the women had to walk through.
Guard of honor.
Yes, I thought, oh, how sweet! It was really nice, and so I made sure that I went to nearly the beginning of the thing so that I could walk right through, And then all the conversations that we're having, the communities meeting, I thought, nice, all fine, all well and good. But this particular year, I have to be honest with you, I wasn't so excited about celebrating International Women's Day. I feel that we talk quite a bit, but when it comes to showing support and showing real action, I don't know, I'm finding women wanting in this regard. So yes, we're talking, encouraging women to be senators, and then they become senator. It's one thing to become a senator, it's another thing to allow a senator to be a senator in her own right. Not as a daughter of, not as a wife of, not as she's a junior colleague of ours, so we should, knowing that she has been elected just like you to represent her constituency. And that when that senator raises her voice and asks for a right or asks for clarification, that somehow she is not her voice is not drowned. So it's enough to throw those parties and have those conversations and remind women over and over again, oh, there was a time we couldn't speak, but now you can speak. The time you couldn't go to work, now you can go to work. I was saying something to my daughter concerning this. And some of the things that we are still talking about, it does not resonate with her because we've won that war. We've won it.
So we should move on to the other battles.
Now move on to the other battles, which is when someone stands up to have a conversation and demand for their rights. Women are not turning their heads away. They are not using things like, if it is, why is this person accusing me of this thing? Is it because she thinks people are not as beautiful as she is? I found that very irritating. So for me, this International Women's Day, for fellow women like me, what are we doing? What are we pushing for? Who are we in support of? The war that we're fighting, what it is that we're asking for is very different from what the men are asking for. Are we ready? Are we just paying lip service to all these parties and dressing up nice and showing up in pink, green, and yellow? Because that's what it felt to me this year.
I like that. Nima.
Okay, so the entire idea around this is equality. You know, equal opportunities at home, at workplaces, you know, equal human rights. It's basically human rights. You know, if you have the right to your space, to your decisions as a man, a woman right next to you as a wife or, you know, a companion or a colleague should have equal rights. But, you know, it's still an issue in workplaces, whether we like it or not, you know, that the woman is always told when a compromise has to be done. It's the softer gender, it's our softer part, our feminine part. And we've, you know, sort of made it masculine to stand up, to speak up, to, you're not using your feminine side enough, and all of those advocacy that we see more often now. You can no longer be outspoken, and it's not a feminine thing. You're supposed to be abnormal. And men use it, women also use it, you know. They say, maybe the way you talk to her,
your tone,
for, you know, woman now, you know how this thing they do. You know, I always said that our feminine side is a weapon. We can use it, but it doesn't mean that when we decide not to use it, we shift it, and we use the other one, we're weaker, or we're abnormal, you know. And those are some of the major issues we have. If you look at gender-based violence, the percentage is still more on women than men, because right in the homes where they're supposed to be safe and secure, they are not. We had a caller who called recently and said, well, we're discussing the issue of 100 million. Some women would have left their marriages. And when she talked about what she's facing, she said even for 2 million, she have left. She just needs empowerment to leave, you know. And people are dealing with such issues. That's from her home. A woman my father used to say that if my daughters cross the door, whoever they meet, they should be able to open up and say what has happened. And I remember growing up, and it's I thought it meant that from the door I can be loud. So my father said, walk inside and talk now. Why he shouted, hey daddy, are you up? I'll be shouting from the door. But it meant that you're safe. That's your safe space. Once you come into that place, nobody judges you. Nobody demeans you. You can then approach and, you know, you're free to express yourself. But in certain homes, I was called sports brat a lot, because, you know, that's not the means. They didn't wait for me to learn it. And so if you see in certain places, some people still consider certain things, the way their biases are wired, wrong. And then to be in the hijab as a woman, where you don't know, your eye go see something. Because you now choose. The definition is that you are oppressed because you choose to. I wrapped myself, nobody wrapped me. If I unwrap myself, nobody can unwrap me. But then you choose to sit with your bias and judge whether it is oppression or not. Look me well. Do I look oppressed?
Never.
Or do I look like somebody you can oppress? You'll be mistaken if you think so. And a lot of women like that who have friends in tech. Most of our hijabite friends now are now moving to tech, and they are acing it. They're in Canada, they're doing well. And why they choose it is because in tech, it is your knowledge that comes first. Nobody wants to come and price your knowledge. But those in Nigeria are still facing what they are facing. Once you have to work with a company, somebody still tells you that it is until you are dressed their way or you're naked that you're not. You know, they seize the opportunities. They don't give you enough. So what we are even discussing here today is basic human rights for a woman or the female gender, a girl, or, you know, just basic equal rights. But it's sad that in homes, when the choice of education has to be made between two kids who are of different gender, it's most likely the woman who will be told that, you know, to sit down, to step back a lot of times. And so from our homes, is where I want this conversation to continue to happen.
and
Sadly, in some homes, elite homes like Mariam's home, these are not the conversations. But the homes I see, they're still having it in 2025.
To be shocking to know.
To be shocking.
All right, we'll take a breather here. When we come back, we'll take phone calls and messages. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.